Hey everybody, so let's take a look forward here. Even though we have a whole season upcoming, let's take a look forward to summer of 2019. Let's look at what that free agent class potentially could hold for NHL teams to pick up and, make some pretty major signings July 1st of 2019. Before we get to that, I just want to say, if you're not yet a subscriber to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. As long as you're a fan of hockey and a fan of the NHL, there are videos here for you. So hit that subscribe button and follow this channel. So right now, these are some, I think there's 8 big name players that will all be UFAs in 2019 if they don't get signed an extension before then. Some of these guys I definitely think will be signing extensions before they ever become free agents, but it's still fun to look at. So, the top of the list is obviously Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson, as of right now, is still an Ottawa Senator. I don't expect him to still be an Ottawa Senator come next summer. I don't expect him to be an Ottawa Senator after the trade deadline. I think it would be a huge mistake for Ottawa not to trade him at some point this season and at least get something in return for him, because he's going to walk as soon as he reaches free agency. Ottawa's already offered him a huge contract and he straight up turned them down. He does not want to play in Ottawa anymore. So Karlsson is going to be on a new team certainly by next season, not this upcoming one, but next season. And I assume I certainly expect him to be on a new team this upcoming season, whether he starts the season in Ottawa and gets traded mid-season, or if a deal gets worked out before the season starts remains to be seen. But by the trade deadline this coming season, Erik Karlsson should not be an Ottawa Senator, and I highly doubt he will. If he gets traded at the trade deadline, or right the day or two before the trade deadline, he could end up being a rental. That would be an extremely high price to pay for a rental, but it is possible. I think he's going to sign long-term wherever he gets traded to. He will not reach unrestricted free agency. Wherever he gets traded to, he will sign long-term there. And for what that team's giving up for a franchise player like Erik Karlsson, they're going to want him to sign a long-term contract there, and I think he will. So, Karlsson, I don't expect to reach free agency. Ryan Ellis from the Nashville Predators, one of their top 4 defensemen, who really, I think, without a doubt, have the best top 4 defense core in the league. Ryan Ellis is one of those guys. He is severely underpaid right now, making only $2.5 million per year. He is going to get a huge pay raise. Nashville wants to re-sign him. They want to keep that D-core together, and I mean, who could blame them when you look at how good it is? Nashville wants to re-sign him. We'll see if something gets done this season, or if it makes it all the way till the spring, or if he ends up in free agency. I think if I was betting, I would bet that he ends up re-signing with Nashville, but that's not a done deal or anything. That's just a guess. Tyler Seguin. Tyler Seguin is a UFA in 2019, and I do not know what to think is going to happen with him. I think that what happens with Tyler Seguin largely depends on what Dallas does this year. If Dallas misses the playoffs again this year, I think we could definitely see Seguin get traded or even walk in free agency. Dallas might blow this whole thing up if they miss the playoffs again this year, because when you look at them on paper, they should be a playoff team year in and year out. You look at their roster, they have a good roster. They should at least be a playoff team. They didn't make the playoffs last year. If they miss again this year, I would not be surprised to see major changes take place in Dallas, and letting Tyler Seguin go might be one of those changes. Whether that's through trade or just letting him walk in free agency remains to be seen. But I think a lot of what happens with Tyler Seguin depends on what Dallas does this year. If they make the playoffs this year and they take a step forward and they show that they can be a competitive team, then maybe they re-sign Seguin and keep him there, and they build around him and Jamie Benn and continue on the path that they're on right now. If they miss the playoffs again this year, I would not be surprised to see Seguin traded or just leave in free agency. Artemi Panarin is a free agent in 2019 coming out of Columbus. He is not going to be in Columbus beyond this year, I don't think. I don't think he wants to play in Columbus. I don't think he likes the city of Columbus. He's a great player. If he hits the free agent market, I think every single team will be interested in him. Obviously, some financially can't do it, but he makes any team that he joins better. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in him. I don't think Columbus is dumb enough to let him just walk in free agency in the summer. I think he will likely be traded at or before the trade deadline this season. He could be traded tomorrow or he could be traded on deadline day, but I do see him getting traded before it ever gets to the point where he could just walk July 1st. So don't expect Panarin to sign a long-term deal in Columbus and stay there. I think he's gone after this season one way or another. Blake Wheeler, the exact opposite. Blake Wheeler, I don't see going anywhere. He is a Winnipeg Jet. He has been with that team for a long time now. He's the captain. I think he wants to be in Winnipeg probably for the rest of his career. I think he loves playing there. He loves that team. That franchise is headed in a very good direction. Obviously, they made the conference final last year. They still have a very good team this year. I think Wheeler will re-sign sooner rather than later in Winnipeg, and I think Wheeler will take a pay cut to stay in Winnipeg. Blake Wheeler is a very, very good player, and he could garner a big-time contract on the open market. I think he'll take a pay cut to stay in Winnipeg and be a part of what they've built there, and I think he wants to play the rest of his career as a Winnipeg Jet. Similar to Wheeler, Joe Pavelski. Joe Pavelski's contract's up the end of this season. Joe Pavelski, I don't see going anywhere. I can't picture or imagine him on any other team other than the San Jose Sharks. He's the captain in San Jose. He's been there his whole career. Joe Pavelski is a San Jose Shark, and given the way the Sharks have held on to Joe Thornton year after year after year, I don't see them letting Pavelski go anywhere. I think Pavelski re-signs. Now, he's 34 years old, so he's not going to get a 6 or 7, 8 year contract, anything like that. But I could see him getting a 3 or 4 year deal from the Sharks and staying in San Jose for at least a few more years, and I really don't see him playing anywhere else. Max Pacioretty, out of Montreal. His name has been on the trade market even going back to last season. He had a horrible year last year, like most of the Canadians did. Max Pacioretty is not going to re-sign long-term in Montreal. He wants out of there. I think Montreal wants him out of there. They're just trying to find a trade partner. I fully expect Pacioretty to get traded at or before the trade deadline this season. And if a deal doesn't get done at that point, he'll probably get traded at the draft, or at the very least, he'll walk during free agency. I don't think Montreal is going to let him get to free agency. You can't just let a guy like Max Pacioretty walk away and not get anything in return. So Max Pacioretty is not going to be a Montreal Canadian in 2019-2020, but he'll probably start this season as a Montreal Canadian and get traded at some point during the year. But he's definitely on the move somewhere. And lastly, Wayne Simmons, another guy that I'm really not sure which way to lean on with this. Simmons in Philadelphia, obviously he's played there for quite a number of years now. He's very well liked there, very important part of that team. Philly added James Van Riemsdyk in the offseason, this just past offseason, And that's kind of made Simmons a bit expendable. They brought in Van Riemsdyk, who's a 30-goal scorer and a highly talented forward, and that's kind of made Simmons the odd man out almost. There's been a lot of talk about trade rumors with Simmons. Now, the Flyers say that they want to re-sign him and keep him, and I think Wayne Simmons wants to stay in Philly. I would think he would. Simmons struggled with injuries a lot last year. He played most of the season. He played 75 games, but he was hurt for almost the entire season. Had a down year points-wise. Wasn't nearly as physical as he usually is. Didn't fight that much. Just overall didn't look healthy, and he wasn't healthy. And the trade rumors really started to swirl around him last year. And now the addition of Van Riemsdyk has just made those rumors come up again even more. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Simmons stay in Philly. He's such a big part of that team and has been for the last number of years. Philly, a playoff team last year. As long as they're a playoff team again this year and you continue to play, be one of the better teams in the league and play at a high level, I don't see them wanting to make any drastic changes. They have a decent amount of cap space. Simmons is due for a bit of a raise, but not a huge one. I think his current contract pays him $3.9 million per year. Simmons isn't the 30-plus goal scorer and 100 penalty minute guy that he was in, say, 2012, 2013, around there. His play has dropped off a little bit over the last 2 years. He's still a very good player. I don't think he's a first liner anymore. I think he's a second/third liner. He's obviously still a very tough guy and a power forward and can play physically when he's healthy. He's certainly going to make more than $4 million per year, but I don't see... it's not like he's going to get a $2 million raise or anything. I don't see Simmons getting $6 million a year. I think, he's 29 years old. Maybe a 3-year deal at $5 million per year. Maybe if they want to commit to him long term, they'd give him a 5x5. I don't know. But, I'd say around $5 million a year to try and get him to re-sign. And if he wants that, a lot more than that, then maybe you do trade him or let him walk in free agency. But, I think Simmons and the Flyers both want to be back with the Flyers next year. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. So those are 8 guys that will be UFAs in 2019 if they make it that far. Obviously, there's a number of them that I don't think will make it that far. Also, a number of them I do expect to be traded, and some of them I just flat out don't know. So the potential is there for a very, very talented free agent class of 2019, but there's obviously a long way to go until we get there, and a lot of trades and signings can happen before July 1st of next year. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who's going to stay, who's going to go, who's going to get traded. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media, check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links in the description below. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon.